It was really awkward, but only because I make things awkward. Hi, my name is Jenna Ortega. I'm gonna be reminiscing about all of my firsts with Elle today. Before we do this, you should probably watch Wednesday on Netflix. My first audition, it was for a commercial, the first year that I started acting.
First, grab a brush. Soft bristles are best.
It was super easy. I thought it went so well. I was so excited. I told my mom, and I got a call back actually. And I had never acted before. I was still over the moon. I think my first celebrity encounter was the first TV show that I worked on. It was called Rob with Rob Schneider. I was really excited to meet Cheech from Cheech and Chong because he was playing Rob Schneider's father-in-law or something, and I was a huge fan. My dad was a huge fan, and I met him when I was like 10. And I asked him for a photo, and it was my favorite photo of myself for a really long time. He was very nice and professional, and he seemed to like to play a lot, and everything that came out of his mouth, you kind of wanted to write down. My first red carpet was Miracles from Heaven? I didn't know what I was doing there, why I was there. I think I was getting ready for my Disney show to come out. So they were just trying to kind of get me out in public spaces before that happened. And I thought it might be a nice dress, whatever, but I think it's black at the top with sequins, and then the bottom half is leopard print. I got it at maybe Kohl's. My first big splurge, I don't know if it was much of a splurge, but I remember my younger sister had started cheerleading and it was a really big deal to her. You know, in order to participate, you had to have a certain costume. So I bought that costume for her so that my parents wouldn't have to pay for it. But she, of course, she was very appreciative and I think it was a sweet thing for us for a little bit. I think the first time I was recognized in public, I was at the Grove and someone called my name. They said, "Hey, Jenna." So I turned around because it sounded like they knew me and I was looking for my friend. I was like, "Hello?" And then some random woman came up to me with glasses. I believe her name was Hannah. She asked for a photo and she said that, "Oh, I love you on Jane the Virgin and it's such a great show and da-da-da, whatever." And I remember just for the rest of the day thinking, oh, it was so weird. I swore I knew the woman. My first heartbreak when I was 11 and I had gotten this betta fish and I had had this betta fish for maybe 2 years and it committed suicide. I had this tank and the littlest, tiniest baby hole at the top. I don't know how he did it. And he jumped through that hole one morning. And I was going to LA that day to go to work. And my sister had known because she had gotten up for school. And I came around the corner. I came around the corner to check on him and feed him. My sister said, "Oh, don't worry, I fed him already," and pushed me through the door. I went to work. I think it was on the Jane the Virgin set. And then driving back home that night, my mom said, "You're gonna go inside and Kobe's tank is gonna be empty." And I cried like a big baby. That was one of my first real sobs. The first time I felt like I made it, I have a very supportive family and they sacrificed a lot for me to do what I do. Another thing that I love about them is they do not care at all what I do. They have no interest in this world, in this industry, and you know, I could come home from working with cool people or prominent people or people that I respected and they had no interest. It was, "Hey, you missed your day to do the dishes or you didn't do the dishes before you left, so you're on dish duty for the rest of the week." It was very normal. And I think the first time I felt like I made it was they asked me about someone that I was working with. And I was just so blown away by the fact that they asked me a question about my job. That was really cool for me. I went to bed that night with a smile. My first time giving advice, I think I was 8 years old and it was with my mom. My older sister was a bit reckless and I remember my mom was having a hard time because it was her first kid and she was stressed out and I don't know what possessed me, but I told her, "Girl, you're doing just fine." I said, "You're a wonderful mother." I said, "She's a teenager, she's gonna have her rebellious years, and don't worry because a couple years from now, she's gonna regret it. And she's gonna come back to you and you guys are gonna be sweet and lovey or whatever." But I said, "Cut yourself some slack." I said, "Relax, you're gonna be good." And she looked at me and she called me a 40-year-old woman. And I think that was the first time that I felt like I said something and thought, yeah. I think the first scary movie that I watched, or at least saw part of before I ran away in fear, was Child's Play, I wanna say. My older siblings and my Theo were watching, and I asked if I could watch the movie with them because I loved movies, and they said, "No, you're gonna be too scared." They sent me to my room, and I remember peeking around the corner of my hallway to watch the film, and I literally only saw his hand. I screamed in terror because I knew he was this murderous doll, and then every year I would have a nightmare about a hand up until I was about 15. The first time I watched The Addams Family, I was about 8 or 9, and I remember just being absolutely enamored. I always liked little weird things, and I liked that they weren't the conventional family, and obviously Wednesday, I wanted to be her so badly, and I think I related to them a lot. No one seemed to like them, yet all of America, or all of the world really had fallen in love with them. The first day on the set of Wednesday, I remember being really, really nervous. I remember it was my first time in hair, makeup, wardrobe complete. And I remember getting on set and Tim not being happy with the hair yet. He kept saying the fringe is wrong, or oh, her left braid is too high and this needs to be lower, and now they're too thick, now they're too thin. And he wasn't happy with my fringe, so he took the hairdresser's comb. Politely, he asked, like, hey, do you mind? He just messed with my fringe and was dissecting strands. No, this needs to be thinner, thinner, whatever. And then took the hairspray and just hairsprayed the hell out of my hair. And then it was like a rock. And it was like that exact same position, strand, whatever, for 2 weeks maybe. It was a lot of that sort of thing. And I didn't talk. It was literally just me walking down a hallway and then me starting to drop piranhas into a pool. I think the first cast outing was a barbecue at Tim's house in Romania. He had this place. It was really awkward. I think it was awkward, but only because I make things awkward. I just didn't know what to say or do. And there was no music playing. So it was just a very quiet party. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and Elle today. Be sure to watch Wednesday on Netflix. Subscribe to Elle.